All right, to talk more about that stunning inning from Virat Kohli, you also had Shubman Gill get to 100. We'll talk about that and India's record victory margin. Sunny Gavaskar joins us live. Sunny bhai, who's just fresh from watching a GOAT on the football field. He watched Lionel Messi play. Are we then, Sunny bhai, also watching the GOAT of ODI cricket in Virat Kohli?
Firstly, I think the GOAT in football sadly left us just maybe a couple of weeks back, and that is Pele. I mean, that argument over there ends over there as to who's the GOAT, because, football was also played earlier on, not just in the last 15, 20 years. And similarly with cricket, I think cricket has been played for a long, long time. But basically, to see the kind of form that Kohli has come back in is absolutely fantastic for Indian cricket, because he's been the linchpin of Indian batting for such a long time. And now that he's striking the ball well, now that he's back to the hunger of scoring the big hundreds, that can only augur well for the matches ahead. India has a very, very important series against Australia. Yes, before that, there are 3 one-days and 3 T20s against New Zealand. But I think the series against Australia is of prime importance. India needs to win 3 out of the 4 to be able to qualify for the World Test Championship finals. And for that, I think Kohli's being in the kind of form he is good news for India.
Right, Saima, the only reason I didn't consider Pele is because I'm not from that vintage, so I saw more of Messi. But I take your point, that yes, there was Pele, there was Diego Maradona, there was Lionel Messi. Of course, you've seen far more, football than I have, having seen some of these legends play as well. But just getting back on the subject of Virat Kohli, today he's made another record. He's entered the top 5 of most run getters in ODI cricket, gone past Mahela Jayawardene. That's a very, very elusive list to be part of, the likes dominated by Sachin Tendulkar, Kumar Sangakkara. That's where Virat Kohli has reached. It's a testament to the fact that he's been consistent over this format for so many years now.
Yes, and look at the average. It's a fabulous average. He's got an average of about 59. That is tremendous, because if you have a look at all the others, their average is below 50, below 45, if I'm not wrong. And so it just tells you that difference of 13 runs, the average, 13, 14 runs, that just tells you about the consistency, because that is also an important aspect. You get to play so many innings, you might not always score runs, but when you have an average over 50, it means you've done well in more innings than otherwise. And that again is a tribute to what he has achieved. It's a fantastic achievement, no question about it. Having that kind of an average, being 5th now, and he's got so much time on his side. He's only 34. If his fitness and the hunger to play cricket remains, then clearly the sky is the limit.
I'm going to talk about that as well, Saima, because I have a few interesting graphics on that. But before I get to those graphics and that narrative of how long he can play, how many hundreds can he target, I want to know from you that break, that was spoken about. I spoke about that 1,020 odd days when he didn't get an international 100. And it's the only reason we were talking about is because we got so accustomed to seeing regular hundreds from Virat Kohli. And when it didn't come over an extended period of time, I think that's what made the headline. He takes that break, and after that break he comes, and the 2 words that I hear from him very often after that, he says desperation. That's a word he's used, like there was no desperation to get runs or reach some sort of milestone. The other, he says, I wasn't trying too hard. Could you just put it into perspective that when you're a bit desperate as a batsman, when you're trying too hard, you need to rectify that? And was that one area where Virat worked on, and that's been the reason that he's come back into form?
Well, I don't exactly know what's the area that he worked on. But what happens is when you're used to scoring runs, and when the runs suddenly dry up, then the desperation to score comes in. And in that desperation, you tend to play at deliveries which you otherwise wouldn't when your form is good.
Yes.
You tend to look for playing some shots which you otherwise wouldn't try, certainly not at the start of your batting innings. And therefore, in that process, you get out. Also, I think when you're scoring runs, there's always a little element of luck which is there, either playing or missing, or all those things happen when you're scoring runs. When you're not scoring runs, exactly the opposite happens. Your first mistake is your last mistake. You get given out when you're not out. Something strange happens, you get run out. Something or the other keeps happening when you're not getting runs. And that was also what was happening with Kohli, in the sense that the first mistake he was making, he was getting out. Then when he got that 100 against Afghanistan, remember he was dropped a simple catch on the
Yes.
boundary when he was just past 60, 70, or I'm not sure. Now that is an element of luck, and whereby he went on to get the 100. Similarly, in the other hundreds, excepting I think today's was a chanceless innings, but other hundreds that he's got, there has been an element of luck where he has been dropped. So that luck factor has also come back in. Also, the fact that he is now being a lot more choosy in which shots to play.
Yeah.
Look, he's always been a risk-free batsman. He's always been, if you look at his limited overs batting, very seldom does he hit sixes. But because he keeps on hitting boundaries, the scoring rate is maintained. So run a ball rate is maintained, sometimes more than a run a ball he maintains. And that is because of not only the boundaries, but his fantastic running between the wickets. So all those things came together with that one innings. Suddenly you start to believe that the luck is changing. Suddenly the tide is turning in your favor. And then when that happens, then automatically that desperation to reach out to play deliveries so that you'll be scoring runs becomes less. And then you tend to play each ball on its merits. And then when you have the class and the ability that he has, when you play each ball on its merits, you're only going to score runs, runs, and runs.
Right. Two very interesting points that Sunny Gavaskar makes there. One, as he points out, the luck factor kind of has changed for Virat Kohli. You know, he was looking good on various occasions, just that the rub of the green wasn't going his way. So that's one thing that's changed. The other thing that he points out is that he's become a little more choosy about the shots that he's playing. So I can then put these two reasons down as to the two main reasons why he's been able to turn his form around. One more thing, Sunny, have you seen any technical changes? Anything else that he's made a change from the Virat Kohli before September of 2022 to now?
I think the shots that he was playing more towards mid wicket, they are now being played only after he's well set. Because in trying to play some of the shots through mid wicket, sometimes you play across the line where you get clean bowled or where you get LBW. When you're playing straight down the line, straight down the pitch, or more towards the offside, the more chances of your bat middling the ball, or bat coming there, maybe an inside edge or whatever it is. But playing across the line, which was also what was getting him into trouble, he's cut that out, and he's only playing those shots much later when he's been at the crease for a long time.
All right, that's why listening to Sunny Gavaskar is an education, because he tells you those finer points that we sometimes miss. One, as he's talking about, you know, those cross-patted shots or the shots that he plays in mid-wicket, maybe he's made a big change there coming later in his innings, also being a bit more picky about the shots that he's played, and those could be those two reasons why we see Virat Kohli strike back form. Now, Saibai, you know, we were talking about all these comparisons. I know that you're not very big on comparisons, but we as cricket fans love to compare legends of different eras. So we've got this interesting stat here because, you know, we're talking about that 46th 100. He's closing in on the Sachin Tendulkar record. But the eyes that everyone has is on that big landmark, that is 100 hundreds that Sachin Tendulkar got. So we're asking, can Virat go past Sachin Tendulkar? So Virat at the moment 74 hundreds. Sachin 100 hundreds is what Sachin Tendulkar got. Now, here's the interesting bit. If you go forward as to when Sachin reached his 100 hundreds and how Virat is now stacking up. Now, see, Virat has played for a period of 15 years, 2008 to 2023. He's got 74 tons. If you do your simple math, then average tons that he's getting per year is 5. So how many tons does he need to equal Sachin's record? That is at 26. Years needed to then get those 100 tons is about 5.5 if I was to get my math right. So 5.5 odd years is what Virat is looking at. And remember, when I'm giving you this math, it also takes into account that 2.5 year dry patch that he had where he got no 100. So I've taken an average out, and that average comes to around 5 international tons that he gets every year. Now, he's 34 years of age, Sunny Bhai. I don't know, Sachin Tendulkar was very rare, not just in the cricket that he played, but because he had that ability to play till 40. I don't think there are many cricketers who be able to play till 40 years of age. But if there's one thing that goes in Virat's favor is his fitness. He's 34 years of age. Do you see him play another 5-6 years? And if he does, can he aim for that 100th 100?
in case he plays 5 years, 5.5, 6 years, he'll get to the 100, no question about it. We already saw it's about his average is about 5.5 or 5 to 6 hundreds a year. So if that happens, then surely 2600s will be scored in the next 5 years before he reaches 40. Sachin Tendulkar also played till he was 40. A few months over 40 is when he called it quits, and he had kept his fitness. Kohli is very aware of his fitness. He's still in this Indian team the fastest runner between the wickets. Only when MSD was there, you could say that MSD was probably as quick, if not quicker, than Kohli. But today, at this age, he beats the youngsters hands down in running between the wickets, converting the ones into twos, the twos into threes. He's a champion at that. He's absolute champion, and not just his runs, for his partners as well. It's not just these are not runs that he's running for himself. These are his partners' runs that he takes. So with that kind of a fitness, for him to play till 40 would not be a surprise at all.
I'm going to play devil's advocate, Saibhai. Sachin Tendulkar managed to play till 40 because, let's say IPL came towards the end of his career. He was mostly concentrating on ODI and Test cricket. Also, India weren't playing too many international at that time. In Virat's case, it's not just, playing 3 formats. And I don't know what the T20 future of Virat is, but till very recently, he was playing T20s for India. ODIs, of course, he plays for India, and then Test cricket. And then there's the IPL. Does that then kind of reduces a few years, and then that's why it may be slightly tough on a Virat to go till 40 like Sachin did?
I don't think so. I think it's your love for the game. Really, it's your love for the game that sustains you. And sometimes it's that love for the game that actually keeps you going, maybe for a year or two. Then you should. With some players, you keep sometimes wondering why are they playing that extra year, because they're not as productive. They're not, whether with the bat or ball, and sometimes they end up, retiring when on their way down. If your love for the game is there, then I think you can go for a long time. The enthusiasm to play this game, when that is there, then I don't think there should be any worry about lasting.
Interesting, Saima, that you talk about love for the game, and that is what Virat has said, that after that break that he took, he's rediscovered his love for the game. He went back to the basics and realized and thought to himself that, why did I start playing the game? Because I enjoyed the game. Let's forget about everything else. Let's go back to the basics. Let's start enjoying my cricket. And he said it right after, making that short little break that he had after that's exactly what he did. And that could be that mantra that has got him all the success. One final question about Virat, Saima, before I turn my attention to India's victory, because I spoke briefly about Virat Kohli in T20s, the kind of forms, he's not been part of that T20 setup. We don't know what the future holds for the Indian T20 team, whether they continue with a Hardik Pandya or not. But Virat, of course, is going to be playing the IPL. He had a good T20 World Cup. He's showing great form in ODI cricket at the moment. Do you see a place for Virat Kohli in India's T20 international team?
He's got 2 IPLs actually to show that he's still there. But the next year's IPL, not the 23 IPL, the 2024 IPL is going to be the crucial one, because the 2024 IPL will be just before the World Cup is played. The ICC T20 World Cup played in the Caribbean as well as in America. So he keeps doing well in both these tournaments. Then certainly he will be there in the team for that 2024 World Cup.
Was the gulf between the two teams pretty big, that Sri Lanka not doing very well in ODI cricket recently? Or do you think, no, India were too good on the day, irrespective of what opposition they would have got?
India were too good on the day. The batting, I mean, you had the opening stand between Rohit Sharma, the captain, and Shubman Gill, and then Kohli batting the way he did. Shreyas Iyer also contributing in between. So yes, I think as a batting unit, they were far too good. Getting close to 400 is a big score in limited overs cricket, in the 50 overs game. Against any opposition, it's a fantastic score. And then the way the bowlers bowled, Siraj in particular, the way he was getting the ball to move, then the slip catching. The slip catching was outstanding. Shubman Gill took a terrific catch to start the collapse. And then Kuldeep Yadav has increased his bowling speed just that little bit by about 8 to 10 kilometers per hour, and without losing any of the turn or the deception that he had. and therefore he's picking wickets, and that is the most heartening thing about this win is the way the Indian bowlers have bowled. Because look, as far as our batting is concerned, there has never been any concern because we know how good the batsmen are. It's the bowlers who have not been always able to defend big scores, 290, 300, 320. Their Indian bowlers have still conceded runs and allowed the opposition to win the match. So I think to see the way they bowled, irrespective of the fact that Sri Lanka had two injured players, they were going to be lower order batsmen. They were not going to make much of a difference to the final result. So fantastic to see the bowlers do well.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about three standout performers for India, not just in this match, but throughout this series. I'm going to start with that youngster in Shubman Gill. There was plenty of talk whether he should have been included in that first ODI or not, because there was also Ishan Kishan breathing down his neck, who had got a 200 before that in that Bangladesh series. Indian team management decided to go with Shubman Gill, not Ishan Kishan. He's clearly, repaid that faith that he's had. Do you think now India's first choice opening pair in ODI cricket as things stand right now, and this being the World Cup year, is Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill, and that's sealed after Shubman's performance in this series?
Well, there are still some matches to go. There are 3 matches against New Zealand, 3 matches against Australia to follow. So clearly form is going to be the key. Shubman Gill continues to bat the way he has been batting in these matches. Then he'll certainly be able to stave off the challenge that Ishan Kishan will provide. But not to forget what Ishan Kishan has done. Scoring a double 100 in one-day cricket is amazing. And the way he got it as well. And he got out in what, the 36th over or something? There were 14 overs left. So he could have, if he had carried on batting, he might have got to 300, maybe even more than that. So I think the fact that he is on the bench is a big plus as far as India is concerned. But in case there is a form, downer in form, in case there is a bit of an injury, or in the morning somebody's got a stomach upset, Ishan Kishan can come in and fill in that gap very nicely. So while it is at this particular stage, you can say yes, that Shubman Gill has sealed his spot. I think the form on currently when we get to the Asia Cup and the World Cup will be the deciding factor.
So Shubman Gill was always that youngster that most hoped would go and play international cricket for India for a very long time. He's showing all the signs of doing that. Now he plays the T20 format for India, is now playing the ODI format as well, and is also part of that test squad. Whether he gets a chance to be in that playing 11 or not, that's another question, but at least he's part of that setup when it comes to all 3 formats for Indian cricket. So he's that one youngster to watch out for. The other one, Saibhai, who's making a return of sorts in Kuldeep Yadav. Again, we know that India is always going to be playing an ODI cricket. One spinner who's going to be an all-rounder to get that balance. So there's only one spot then for an out-and-out spinner. And there are 2 contenders at the moment in Yuzi Chahal. There is Kuldeep Yadav. Who do you reckon is the front runner there? Has Kuldeep Yadav now taken a lead when it comes or comparing him with Yuzi Chahal, just based on the recent performances of the 2 bowlers?
Tough call again. Tough call, because Yuzi Chahal also has been a terrific bowler in the white ball format. But the way Kuldeep has bowled in the last couple of games, he's been picking wickets. And that's the most important thing. If in the middle overs, you're breaking partnerships, you're not allowing batters to settle down, that's a huge plus for any fielding team. And that is what Kuldeep is providing. Maybe a couple of years earlier, he was bowling a little bit on the slower side, giving the ball a little more air. Now what he's done is flattened it just that little bit. He's bowling just that 8 to 10 kilometers quicker than what he was. But the variety hasn't changed. The deception hasn't changed. The spin hasn't changed. And that is a big plus. The accuracy hasn't changed.
Yes.
Because as a wrist spinner, you will be occasionally taken for runs. He has to be given a lot of confidence to try and throw you off, attack you. That is where somebody needs to go and put an arm around his shoulder and say to him, don't worry, you will pick wickets, because he will then pick you wickets.
Okay, and finally, Saibhai, the third, youngster really who's come onto the scene and is having a major impact on India's performance, picked up 4 wickets today. Unlucky not to get that 5-wicket haul, even though he bowled 10 overs in a trot. Mohammed Siraj, I can remember just 3 odd years ago, made his debut for India, and in just this short span, you reckon he's already become like a leader of the pack when it comes to, white ball cricket, ODI cricket, the way he's been bowling?
He's taken the responsibility very, very well. Because when you look at the fact that he was probably the first change bowler when Jasprit Bumrah was there,
Yes.
then it was Jasprit Bumrah, Mohammad Shami getting the new ball. Then Mohammed Siraj would occasionally get the ball. So then when the ball is maybe the seam is not that hard and the ball is, not moving around so much, it's a little bit difficult. But now to be able to control the new ball like he's doing, getting the ball to move both ways, picking wickets, bowling the lines and the lengths that he's doing is absolutely a big plus. Fantastic to see the way he bowled. Pity that he couldn't get the five up, but there are more matches ahead in which I'm sure he'll be able to get that five up. But yes, I think the most exciting thing about today's win really was the way the bowlers bowled. I mean, this is a massive win. Winning by 317 runs is a huge win.
Yeah.
And, the way the new ball bowlers got the wickets, then the spinners got the wickets. India didn't even have to go to somebody like an Akshar Patel or a Washington Sundar. Just tells you, I think the match was finished in 20-something overs? Fantastic, absolutely unbelievable.
All right, Saima, thanks so much for joining us. Apologies to our viewers. We couldn't answer the question as to who the GOAT in football is, whether it is Messi, whether it was Pele. We couldn't even answer the question who's the GOAT in ODI cricket, whether Sachin Tendulkar, whether Virat Kohli. But one question I'll definitely answer, who's the GOAT in Test cricket, is the man that you were just listening to. Sunny Gavaskar, thanks so much for joining us. That's all that we have on our special broadcast. We were celebrating India's victory and a stunning performance by Virat Kohli.